For several years, Western archaeologists believed that an ancient civilization couldn't thrive in the Amazonian rainforest due to the density of the forest and the humidity of the weather. But what happens when a laser proves them wrong? Hidden beneath the vast canopy of trees in the Amazon is a lost metropolis of the ancient Mayan civilization with man-made structures, complex roads, temples, and palaces with the kind of engineering that would make modern-day city planners proud. 2018 was quite the year for the Mayan civilization in Guatemala, as thousands of ruins were popping up as once hidden structures were being revealed. But how were these structures that were hidden for so long suddenly discovered? LiDAR, which stands for Light Detection and Ranging, is the most fascinating tool that archaeologists are currently using. It works by firing streams of light pulses from an aircraft to the ground and timing the return of the pulse when it bounces back to the sensor. It's almost like X-ray vision. The technology was able to reveal more than 800 square miles of the Mayan Biosphere Reserve, which had been mapped out to reveal massive engineering feats. When the images were taken together, they pointed to a far more sophisticated society. For a city so sophisticated that it could contain about 10 million people, what happened to it? How did such a great society fail? Could it have been war or drought? There are so many questions, so let's find answers. 10 years ago, in the heart of Mexico's Yucatan region, the ruins of the forgotten Mayan town called Kiwi emerged from the jungle. The archaeologists had to investigate the ruins using traditional methods without aerial LiDAR. In 800 AD, a local king ruled there and built an impressive pyramid shrine with 20,000 rocks cut and stacked at 30 feet high. The ancient Mayans often placed royal tombs under pyramids, so based on that fact, archaeologist George Bay sank a shaft straight through the Kiwi pyramid. 21 feet into the pyramid, Bay and his team made an interesting find. To the untrained eye, it might just look like a piece of rubble, but Bay and his team knew that it was not just a piece of rubble, but a vaulted stone. Vault stones are not just used to build pyramids, they also hold up the ceilings of buildings, but inexplicably there was one in the pyramid. As they dug under the pyramid, at the base of the pyramid, they found something even more out of place. They found the foundation of an ancient step that is even 300 years older than the pyramid itself, making it 500 AD. But that is an impossible date. To understand how this is possible, it requires a trip back to Guatemala in 1600 BC. Scholars always believed that it was in a region called the Mirador Basin that the Mayan civilization was born. Early kings razed the jungles and built monumental cities. Owing to this, over the next 1,000 years, Mayan civilization became the most advanced in the Americas. The Mayans produced magnificent works of art, were experts in astronomy and mathematics, and developed the first written language in the Western Hemisphere. In 700 AD, there was a massive breakdown, a war that was a result of political strife and a famine that affected the Mayan world. The cities were abandoned, with hordes of refugees fleeing to the north. As part of the wave of refugees leaving the city, one refugee king set down roots in Kiwi and finds the town. Soon after, he builds a pyramid. At least that's what scientists have always thought until now. With the discovery of the ancient building foundation, the dates do not add up. The foundation dates from 500 AD, but Mayan refugees did not arrive at that location until at least 2 centuries later. So was someone else already in Kiwi when the refugee arrived? When research began at Kiwi, it was believed that it was limited to the core of the pyramid. But LiDAR mapping showed that it was a sprawling hilltop estate with a massive staircase across the valley, which suggested that Kiwi might have been the hub of a much bigger complex. The supposed site of the massive staircase had been dubbed Stairway to Heaven. The stairway leads to probably a palace. But who would be rich enough to build something that big and expensive? Excavations done at one of the buildings at the stairway revealed a ceramic bowl that was buried under the floor of the building. Further investigation revealed that the ceramic bowl, which was once filled with an ancestor's bones and used to fortify the building, once held those remains. An incisor was recovered at the site and was taken to a lab to be studied. And after the removal of the 1,200-year plaque, food particles were found like chili peppers, squash, beans, and free fruits. The abundance of food indicates that the people at the stairway were significant plantation owners who ran sizable farms in the valley below their hilltop estate. So this answers the question: the building at the top of the stairway is a plantation house. Further excavations at the site reveal that the hilltop estate is not isolated, but there is in fact a widespread estate around the area. Archaeologists discovered that some of these houses were built with stone, which is rare in Central America. This reveals that the Kiwis were not a peasant tribe, but rather a tribe of middle-class people who were probably the first middle class in a millennium. Kiwi and Stairway are nestled in a lush region of the Yucatan called the Puc. The soil there is fertile and natural resources are abundant in the area. This looks like an ideal place for human habitation, except there is no water source. So how did they do it? 100 feet from the stairway, the answer is found. Water is heavily present for 6 months of the year, and after those 6 months, there is almost no rainfall. An underwater cavern, which is a man-made cistern called a shilton, is discovered. It was used to store rainwater during the times the rain stopped falling. It was a work of sophisticated engineering. So how many people could these waterworks support? An early version of LiDAR is used to map the Chlorton, resulting in the three-dimensional image of the Chlorton. Mapping showed that the Chlorton could contain up to 10,000 gallons of water. These advanced waterworks formed a liquid foundation for the people at the stairway and the Kiwis nearby. 17 miles away from the pyramid in Kiwi, another discovery raises questions. The locals of this discovery is a closely guarded secret because of the fear of looters. Only a few archaeologists have seen the discovery in person, among them Fatima Teppel. Getting to the discovery is a daunting task as it is 230 feet underground. At the bottom of a cave, the tunnel leading to it is narrow and can only fit one person at a time. The residents know about the cave but had no idea the treasures that were hidden in it. Inside the cave, there is a restricted passageway, and there had previously been a wall that marked an area that separated two areas. One was a public space, and the other was a sacred space. In the sacred chamber, there are countless torches in which ritual fire once burned. The Mayans believed that caves were the dwelling places of gods. The priests made pilgrimages to the cave on special religious holidays, consuming hallucinogenic plants to commune with the deities. The chamber is cluttered with broken pottery because the Mayans broke vessels as part of their offerings. Scholars suspected that the breaking of the ceramic by the Mayans released the power of the offering. Deeper into the cave, an extraordinary underworld unfolds as ancient Mayan paintings adorn the walls of the cave's burial tomb. A particular image stands out because the contours of the cave give the image a unique three-dimensional jaguar. The paintings on the cave walls suggest that the painter was not from the Mayan civilization of the south. The murals are the oldest Mayan artworks ever found in Mexico, and stylistic analysts of the paintings and ceramics from the cave suggest that they were created around 100 BC. The painting dates to the dawn of the Mayan civilization, but this was 800 years before the refugees from the Yucatan arrived. So who painted the murals? Now the question is, what happened to Kiwi and Stairway? How did a prosperous civilization end? The initial thought is war, but after an exhaustive search, no arrow or spearhead is found. As it turns out, the water in the cistern could not sustain the people of Kiwi and Stairway because of the longer periods of drought. It was clear from the excavations done at Kiwi and Stairway that the Mayans arranged their houses in such a way that it seemed that they would only be gone for a while because they did not take things that suggested they would not return. As to why the Mayans did not return, we cannot say for sure, but one thing is quite certain. The Mayans were more sophisticated and advanced than we thought. Tell me, what are your thoughts? Leave them below in the comments.